Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. That's a long name. We'll just obviously call it Fold 3. Now, we've had some interesting leaks on Weibo, right? So there's been some images that actually look pretty genuine. They look like they have been taken from a promo video that Samsung usually has. Pretty low quality, however. Now, the first thing that we have, there's a screenshot from Ice Universe, who's a very prominent leaker, and that says 120 hertz inside and out. So at this point, the Z Fold 2 has a high refresh rate for the fold-out display, but the cover display is still 60 hertz. This is going to be 120 hertz on both, which would make it the first foldable to have 120 hertz on both the outside as well as the inside. So that's the first piece of news, which looks pretty exciting. But then there's some really, really cool stuff. So then there's a screenshot which shows taking calls while taking notes, right? And we can see an S Pen. So the Z Fold is kind of folded halfway, and then there is an S Pen, which confirms the rumors that we've had that the Z Fold 3 will have an S Pen. So that's the second piece of big news. And then the third piece, which I was a little bit skeptical about, but now it's seeming more likely. We also see a screenshot where there's text that says the first foldable with an under-display camera. So currently we have a punch out on the foldable display of the Z Fold 2. And this is something, that can be a little bit distracting, but it looks like Samsung may have figured out a way to get it under the display without it being really bad quality, like we've seen on some other implementations, shall we say. Yeah. So, I mean, it's looking exciting. I think, the rumored date for release is around July, I believe.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Z Fold 3. Let me hear your thoughts based on all of this information.
I mean, all I hear is fire, 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 fire. Samsung is just clicking on all cylinders. I mean, look, having 220 hertz displays on one device, that's a battery drain. We know that, but at least it's there, and you can drop it down to 60 hertz if you like, or whatever. The S Pen, again, for me, you know how much I love the Galaxy Note. I'm holding my Galaxy Note 20 right now. I just got a new case to move to S21. And again, this is almost 6 months. I still haven't moved to the S21 because of that. And then finally, that under display front-facing camera, or camera at least, is something that we'll be quite interested to see what Samsung does. And we probably will see limitations in its quality. It might just be 1080p instead of 4K, and it might be for one of the cameras, not both of the cameras. So maybe in, the bigger display, the one that folds open, might have the under display, while the one in the front of the main camera will have a traditional, like a punch hole or something in there. But honestly, it's sounding good. As long as that S Pen goes inside, then I am 100% sold. If not, I would be at like 95.
Okay. So there's an interesting point you mentioned there, because it seems like, at least at this point, unless Samsung's figured it out, that for an under display camera, it's not going to be as good as what you'd normally get, because if there's something that's not got anything covering. So I do think I do agree with you where it might be that the cover display does have a traditional punch out camera, because that's what you'd normally be using for selfies. And to be honest, if you do want to take selfies, you can just fold it open and use the rear facing cameras for selfies using the cover display, right?
Which is much better.
When you're what you traditionally been using when the fold is open, right, is for video calls, right? Now when you're on video calls, you don't need more than 1080p, right? 4K, you don't need 4K for video calls. There's nothing that's going to stream
too much bandwidth
at that level. Yeah. So I kind of see that, and that would be a very interesting implementation. I'm very interested to see how they're gonna implement the S Pen, because remember, the current fold, you could use your nail on that plastic display, dig in, and it's going to leave permanent marks on the display. Now, I'm kind of thinking, okay, how do they do this with the S Pen? So it's rumored to have Gorilla Glass Victus on the outside, obviously, but we're still going to have Glastic, or whatever you want to call it, the plastic with the glass. So I'm interested to see, are they going to make the nib of the S Pen a little bit more blunt or something, maybe? So then, it's not as sharp as what we've traditionally seen on Note devices. I don't know. This is going to be quite interesting. So exciting nevertheless. There's a few question marks, but we're going to be finding out all of these things hopefully very soon. And with the camera module as well, it's not going to be, a wide rectangle like we've got on the Z Fold 2 right now. It looks like it's going to be more of a narrow vertical camera alignment. So, similar to what we had in the Note 10. It's just in a row. And that tells us that there's not going to be periscope zoom or anything like that. So, we're not going to be getting crazy amounts of zoom like we've seen on the S21 Ultra. I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to hear the full podcast episode, then that will be linked down below. And if you want to see more clips like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.